Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Share. Hold on. Okay, good. So share. Okay, so today's session is going to be one where we go into the things that I practice, which is Feldenkrais, somatic experiencing, and in general, just somatic movement. I'm really excited because this is kind of something that I've noticed in myself was really missing in my somatic practice. And so it's really fun to be able to play with more, particularly trauma-based work that I am doing. So just an introduction about me. I and my practice. So I work with somatic experiencing and Feldenkrais. If you don't know what somatic experiencing is, it's a trauma-based, trauma processing based somatic practice that is really, really incredible. And if you have more interest, we can talk about that later. I'm also an improviser, and so I put a lot of play into the work that I do. Before anything else, though, I would really like to take a moment to honor the lands that I am on. I am on Muniang Jojage, which is otherwise known as colonially as Montreal. I am fully pro decolonization, and I am both as a human, as a settler. I come from a family who immigrated here in the 60s, Italian settlers. So I like to bring that into, I think it's important. And I think if you don't know where you are, if you can go into the website called nativeland.ca and or .com, and you can find out what is the name of the place that you are residing on. This is very helpful, and brings us closer to reconciliation with the people that our presence created a lot of harm. And so, yeah, so that's it. And thinking about, in yourself, what is it that you can do on a daily basis, whether that's, learning or talking about it with other people, how we can find a way to all decolonize ourselves, particularly speaking to people who are of a European background. So yeah, so what we're going to be talking about today, here's the agenda, is like we're going to really feel into what is the felt sense. What does energy feel like in your body? And what is experiential feeling? And then I'm going to open it up to some Q&A and closing remarks. And these three questions are really going to be about like how how do you know, or what do you feel? And we're going to do some little games that we can play with to kind of establish what does it mean to feel. Um, so so being this, let me see my next slide. So yeah, what is the felt sense, right? Because a lot of people don't know quite what that is. So, and how to describe it. So some words to describe the felt sense are, like something feels soft, when I touch parts of my hand, like this feels soft. Or if I touch my hair right now, it feels a little stringy. Or, if I think about, my feet, one foot feels really spacious and one foot actually feels quite strained or tight. If I think about my energy, one energy feels like vibrating, like things are pulsing in me. Um, and, you know, oh, like something inside me is vibrating. Felt sense could also be the temperature, right? Like when I put my hands together, I feel warm on the insides of my hand. Although because it's winter and it's still a little chilly, I feel a little cold on the outside of my hands. There's also the felt sense of connection, right? And presence. I feel connected. I feel rooted. I feel grounded. If any of you've done lessons before this and are going to do the lessons after this, you'll also feel very grounded and rooted, maybe into yourself. Um, but why the felt sense? And that's really an important question, because sometimes it can seem really obvious, but really what the felt sense is really a sense of it is cluing you in to this moment, what is happening with you, like what is going on in this moment. And if you want to even check that out, like what do you notice about yourself? If you're sitting on the floor or if you're sitting in a chair, can you come to notice the places that touch on the floor? Are they soft? Is there a sense of rigidity or tightness? Is there a lot of pressure? Do you feel strain? And we like to take a lot of pauses in somatics to also, just notice whatever is coming up for you. And so, let's go before here, and I'm gonna stop my share. And yeah, and so a lot of people have their cameras off, but if you want to have your camera on, you could also do that. It's nice for me, and in the recording, you won't be it's not recording your camera, it'll be recording mine. So so as we talk about felt sense, right, we're going to just do some little experiments similar to what we just did, which is, you know, what do you feel when you contact yourself? So if you put your two hands together, for example, and you just listen in to what that does, right? And you can put them in any way. You can be in this prayer position. It can be on your legs, whatever. But just coming in to notice, like that right now, the heat that is coming out from you, the heat that is between your two hands, right? Or yeah, if you want to start to put your hands at different places, what do you notice? If we talk about felt sense, like, do you notice heat? Do you notice cold? Do you notice soft or hard? And if you put it at different places, right? What do you notice? Is the skin there tight? Is the skin loose? Is there a sense of ease there, or does it feel lost? Does it feel confusing? Does it feel hard? Right? Yeah. Just yeah, playing with what you notice is the felt sense of yourself. Yeah. And even, how are you sitting on the chair or on the floor? And if you bring contact to the place that you're sitting on, right? What does that feel like? If you put your hands kind of under your pelvis, and you notice there's some bones there. If you start rubbing your legs, what do you notice? What kind of words come into your head around what you feel, what you sense? Do you want to do this? Is this the right um speed? Do you want to do this fast or do you want to do it slow? What feels nice for you? Or maybe you don't even want to rub, maybe you want to tap. Maybe you want to tap even at different places. And how do you know that you like this? How do you know that this is something that you want to do? Right? So we're starting with, the felt sense of yourself on the outside, but there's also a felt sense on the inside. So usually in somatic experiencing, we start with what's on the outside, the hands, the skin, and then we come into noticing what's on the inside, right? And we'll play with this a little bit after, but if you just take a little moment into like listening to what's happening on the inside, it's like, do you notice your heartbeat? Or even so simple as like if you swallow, do you notice the muscles of your throat as you swallow? Do you notice your breath that's moving inside you? At what speed is your breath going at? Norma, you are unmuted. Thank you. Hmm. Even if you started moving your head around, you started looking around you, and you notice there are things around as well with your eyes. And you feel maybe what's happening in your spine as you're moving, or you feel what happens in the change of weight as you look to the right or as you look to the left. Do you notice there's a change in the way that you feel your seat? Is any slight difference in what is happening for you in the present moment, in this moment right here, this moment right here, right now? Mhm. And something else to connect ourselves, the way that the nervous system works is that we have this upper brain, this upper part of our brain, which is our cognitive brain. This one works to create stories, to think about things and perceive, like perceive their being. What is the meaning behind this? And then the lower parts of our brains are actually more tied to our somatic being. And so when we look around, we have an input, we have something, um, we see like a plant. And that comes into our brain and it creates a felt sense, more felt sense in our bodies. And so we're going to start to play with the second thing, which was, what does energy feel like? What does energy and feel like in the body, the felt sense of energy? So one example is, when something goes really bad, right? You have a felt sense maybe that your heart starts to race, right? Or that your throat closes up, or that your stomach feels like it's in a knot, right? And so those are felt senses that are inside. And those are energies. It's a stored energy. It's a signal for you to do something, or for you to, if you have anxiety, maybe you want to brace, right? Or you want to protect yourself, or maybe you want to run, you want to get out as soon as you can. And so part of the work of somatic experiencing is to experience, or to know and understand the experience of these signals, of these signs, so that you could understand what is happening in your body. So we're gonna play with something which I actually just learned, that I really, really appreciated, which is to put your hands together and start to rub your hands. And you're gonna rub them faster and faster and faster. You're gonna feel that there's gonna be a warmth, right? And then you rub faster and faster and faster, and then you slowly, really slowly start to take apart your hands. And just feel now, as you take apart your hands, what do you feel? What do you feel in the tips of your fingers, or inside of your hands? There's this like sense of energy there. It's like the felt sense of energy, right? And so as you listen to this, and as you played, you can start to play with where you bring your hands, always looking at if you can keep that felt sense of energy, right? If you can widen your circle, or you can bring your circle forwards or backwards. And if you lose that sense of energy, you can do it again. You can do it again. You can rub your hands, and then you can separate them. And you feel you're creating this container of energy, right? And so this is what energy feels like in your system. Oftentimes it's like maybe like a want to do something. And humans, we have this system that is very scared of energy, very scared of overwhelm. And so oftentimes, you'll actually see there's this video of a polar bear who is running, and behind the polar bear is a helicopter, and the polar bear is very scared of the helicopters making a lot of noise, and so the polar bear decides to start running, right? So it runs, it runs, it runs, and then unfortunately, I guess they were doing research or whatever, they shot the polar bear with tranquilizer. And so the polar bear went from very charged with a lot of energy to zero energy because of the tranquilizer. And then after a while, the polar bear started waking up and started shaking, a lot of shaking. And this was because the polar bear had this stored energy that we kind of created, the stored energy that was now coming out through their body. That was coming out with it's like intense shaking, right? And then at some point the shaking stops, the polar bear settled, and then the polar bear started walking and did his life. And so the thing that humans do, though, is when we have these moments of energy buildup, whether it's anxiety or fear or even love or peace, when it gets to a point where it becomes overwhelming, we shut down, and we try to change what's happening, right? We tell babies to stop crying. Or when people give us compliments, we say, no, no, no. This is because we are scared of 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 exploding, right? Because the energy is too much. So, but now as we start to listen to this energy, we can begin to make decisions about and explore what that energy feels like and what we want to do with the energy. And of course, in through somatic experiencing, we do this very small through titration, we call it, which is a chemistry principle of slowly mixing two substances that are don't that explode when put together, right? So we take one drop of one of this liquid and we put it into another um, vial, and that has this other liquid, right? And it makes just a little bit of a little bit of an explosion, just a tiny bit. And then we can sort of mix these two liquids together slowly, slowly. So that's what we begin to do in somatics, right? We begin to slowly start to feel parts of ourselves, right? The felt sense, understanding what it means to have felt sense, what it feels like to have energy in the body. And then from there, what can we do with that energy, right? So now we're coming more into, what the experience of the experience, what did I say here? What did I call it? The experience of feeling, right? So the felt sense of an experience. So now we're going to try this out. So you're going to just kind of orient, we call this orienting in somatic experiencing, where you look around and it's kind of like telling your nervous system where you are. It's giving your nervous system an understanding that you are here in this moment, right? So just begin to look around. And as you're looking around, you're also paying attention to the felt sense of looking around, right? The tipping of one side. If I look to the left, am I coming onto the left side or am I coming onto the right side? And then the other side, right? You're looking around the room and you're noticing all of these different little things. Like for me, I have a plant that's right here in front of me, and I have another one here. I have my window, right? And there's some trees I see. To my left, I have a skeleton. So what do you see? And are there things that you see that you notice have an effect in your system as you look around? Do these things do something to you? Do they have a response in some kind of way? Like if you thought about your chest, right? Or your belly, or your head, or even your lips. And and now you just come back into your seat and just noticing as you look inside what you feel. If there's any kind of thing of a sense of felt sense in you, that's both on the outside, it could be, I feel the chair, I feel myself on the chair. And even as you feel yourself on the chair, do you feel supported? Do you feel weightless? Do you feel heavy? And does that give you a sense of calm? Or does that give you a sense of anxiety? Does that give you a sense of joy or peace? Really just dipping in a little bit. And And from here, now we're going to play with something else. So a lot of the times I've noticed in my work that people have a more of a difficult time connecting to happy and joy than they do with knowing the felt sense of anxiety or fear. Like for fear and anxiety, stress, it's very, very clear. But with joy and other stuff, it's not so clear, right? So we started out with like, as you look around, is there anything that, actually, as you look around, just pick something that you like to look at. Like for me, it's really this plant. Like I really love to look at it. It's so beautiful. For you in your space, is there anything that reminds you of joy or that you like to look at, a color, or sometimes it's the wood or outside of a window. Outside my window, I see actually a little cat across the street who is sitting on another window. That makes me laugh. So you have this thing. And then from here, now you come back into your seat. And now let's take something that is of slight inconvenience, something, maybe an experience of something that you did not like, but that's not intense. That's not super overwhelming. It's like really like you wanted to go to the dep and you wanted to pay $2 for a chocolate bar, but it was 350. Something really small, something really, really small. You just think about this, you feel into it, and then starting to feel your felt sense, listening to your felt sense and listening to the energy that you feel as you notice this. Do you feel anything in your heart or in your throat? Do you notice if your eyebrows come together a little bit or your teeth start to clench? Do you feel a tightening in your chest or something in your belly or a tightening in your legs? And so as we begin to pay attention to these very subtle activations of the muscles, and just as you start to be aware of them and you say, oh, okay, you're there. And now just coming back now to that place, for me, it's the plant, coming back to that place that felt supportive for you and looking at this supportive thing. You can look around the room, find that thing that you really love, that's comforting for you. And as you do that, just notice the difference. Just notice the difference that happens in your body. Has any of the felt sense of that little anxiety or the little anger, whatever your little situation was, that kind of created some kind of tension in you? And then as you come out of it and as you come back to this thing in your room and in the space, it reminds you of where you are, and it sort of opens your chest up, or you come back to your feet. What happens for you as you do this? And now as you come back, let's just do some some felt sense again. So, coming to touch your chest or your hands, bringing attention into your body, feeling how your shoulders, your chin, your jaw, just noticing how this now feels for you since we started, right? And even noticing if there's now, as you feel and you place your hands in different places, that maybe you can feel also, even doing it really slow, You can feel that you um, have this sense of a resource, a place that you can touch, that gives you even more of a sense of settling or feeling into the ground and being with yourself. And then let's come back around to look into the space, right? Again, just orienting and noticing as you orient, right? Just looking around, looking into the space. And, that's what animals do. When a cat arrives into the space, it looks around, right? It orients. Or you can see lizards doing that a lot. Their eyes going everywhere. They're making sure that it's a safe space for them. And then once they know it's a safe space, then they can settle. And so we have this too, right? We have this ability to recognize when we are safe and to allow that recognition to come through inside in a felt way. A lot of the times what happens, particularly in a work situation where we have a lot of anxiety, when there's deadlines, right? The system feels like it's attacked. The anxiety builds and builds and builds and builds. And then maybe, we'll do something to help it. We could go into all kinds of stuff around addiction, but we can also and if we have the tools and the support and we know our resources, then we are actually able to um, you know gently come down or notice that I gave this report in, this thing is done, I did my assignment, I wrote up the paper that my boss wanted. And so allowing that and coming to check in the space, coming to check in your space, coming to resource with the things that made you feel better, coming to touch your body where it feels like, yes, when I connect to this place, I feel I can be with myself. I can feel myself. We're gonna play now with now coming back and just playing easily with coming back to that little situation of minor inconvenience. And as you play with that, as you just even thinking about that, just noticing what comes into your body, what happens as you do this. You might feel it in your belly, or you might feel it in your chest, or you might feel that you start to brace, right? Maybe you lift your shoulders up, or you look down, or you protect yourself, or you close your arms. What do you start to do? And then, so we're just dipping our toe, and then you come back out of that and you look around. You come back to your resource, which is just gently just noting that you are safe. You're still here in this room. You're still here in this room, and noticing how that has an effect on your body. Noticing how that, if that opens up your chest, if that allows you to feel some ease, so a little bit more grounding. And then you can come back to touching yourself, self-touch, right? Remembering where you are and what are your limits, what feels grounding and what feels settling for your system, right? And so you are allowed to do this. You are allowed to do this moments of stress come up. So we're gonna play with something else, which is a really nice way of settling yourself, which is and you know, let's do it in a way, if you want, let's do it in a way that we're imagine that we're all together in the room. And we can even hold each other's hands, right? You have a sense that somebody that you feel safe with is holding your hand, and there's a circle around you, and you feel community support. And now we're going to start to do something called the VU, which is a kind of a sound that you know a foghorn makes, like brrr, like this, like brrr. And as you do that, as you start to play with this sound, right, you're just going to listen to your chest and noticing what that does for your whole system, right? So with your hands together, I'll start us off, and I'll start saying "vous," and then you can come in and just allowing it to come out and see what this does for your system. Are we ready? Yeah? Okay. And then you take a nice breath again. And it can be as big or as little as you want. What is the felt sense, the difference that you feel after having done that? What do you notice in your felt sense of your ability to be here and present in the space? And now, once again, if you'd like, let's take another adventure into this slightly inconvenient experience. And as you do that, just noticing again, what are the signs that come up for you? What do you notice happens as you think of this slightly inconvenient experience? And as you begin to familiarize yourself with what this is, right, you begin to build some tools of what kind of signs you need to be able to come back to yourself, and some tools that you can use to help you come back to yourself, being the looking around, right? Looking around in your space and orienting to safety, right? And then orienting to joy with this plant that I have, or with whatever, you know, it could be a picture, a photo of a loved one, or a piece of art that you made, or maybe your cat, or something you really hold dearly that you love. And as you look at this place, this resource, right? What do you notice in yourself? What happens for you? And, when I asked this in the beginning, what is the difference between then and now? When I asked this in the beginning, did you have a solid idea of the joy, that the felt sense of joy or the felt sense of safety? Or has that become clearer for you in the last thing that we did? So from here, just come back into noticing how you are in your seat, or how you are, if you're standing or if you're laying down. What do you notice? And so from here, I'd like to open it up to some questions. And then from there, I'm going to, or you know what, I'll do the opposite. I'm going to share my screen again. And and so here are some links if you'd like to work with me. I offer, this is my offering. I do, um, in person and online. And I have a pay what you can offering for queer, LGBTQ, two-spirit people. That's at a pay what you can rate. And this one here is my website, and I teach a class on Mondays at 7 p.m. So if any of these interest you, you can take a picture of the QR code, or you will probably receive my, I don't know if, Soph, are people gonna receive my email, my website?
It's already linked in the program of the event.
Okay, thank you. So I have a class on Monday nights in Montreal, but you can come in a hybrid. And then I also have a gift of 6 lessons, of six intro to Feldenkrais lessons. With this, I bring in a lot of somatic experiencing into my lessons. So if you're interested, this is my little offering for you all to thank you for coming.